Alrighty everyone, Super Slav here, back with another review for Ninjago Dragons Rising. So, the original show ended back last year at the time of recording, time of recording and releasing. Ninjago, the original show, ended last year. And it was with mixed results. I mean, I liked it. I mean, I didn't love it like, some other seasons I could think of. Like Sons of Garmadon and Hunted and some others. But, now we are into a new show called Ninjago Dragons Rising. Ninjago Dragons Rising is it's been season 1 has just released, split into 2 parts, 10 episodes each, 22 minutes each. So it's nice we're back to 22 minutes each, So that's good, right? Everyone. I mean, a lot more people like the 22-minute episodes than the 11-minute episodes, and I agree too. So, and this season, I'm just gonna say, start off the bat, is really, really good for a season. And it's like and this season is gonna be similar in a way to the Oni trilogy, where it's gonna have a lot of continuity into each season. So you can't just, when season 2 releases 2024, you can't just watch season 2 and just jump right back to season 1 like some other seasons, which is very cool. It means the story's going to be grander and bigger, and can't wait to see next year's story, which we'll talk a little bit about next year's story a little bit. I mean, a little bit because we have some hints thanks to season 2 sets releasing, in January. We can talk about the hints, and obviously the ending of the season 1 also hints towards some season 2 clues. So, what I wanted to start off with is the merge. The merge is one of the biggest, craziest ideas for Ninjago that we've ever seen. So remember season 5 where they introduced the 16 realms connected to Ninjago, and then some seasons, like season 6, season 11, they bring up some realms, But this time, what's crazy about the merge is that it's all merged, or coalescence, I think that's also a nickname for the merge too. All the realms are now connected to Ninjago, so for those people that were saying that it's going to be boring, watching Ninjago, the ninjas just go, just saving the city of Ninjago, well, now they can travel to other realms, such as the Underworld and the Cursed Realm, the Departed Realm. Yeah, I know, crazy Departed Realm. And then obviously, this season is mainly focused on Imperium. Though they do, go to some other realms like the Wildness, and they have a discussion about Ninjago, but those are obviously not the main focus. This season's main focus realm is the Imperium, which are also the antagonists are also from there, called the Claws of Imperium. But before we get into the villains, let's talk about the main characters, then the secondary characters, and then we'll just go to the antagonists, and then we'll just review the show, basically episode by episode, and break it down for y'all. And yeah, there will be spoilers, obviously, if you haven't figured this out already. So, and I mean, to be fair, part 2 already released like 2 months ago, so I feel like it's fine for me to talk about spoilers anyways. So, here we go. Main characters time. There is 3 main characters plus we have a main dragon, or he's also a main character, but these 4 characters are going to be the main characters of the show. So let's start with the first person we saw, which is Aaron. Aaron was a ninja fanboy. Basically, us, like the fans, the fans of the original show. That's Aaron. Aaron basically is a fan of the ninjas and taught himself spinjitzu and has some new power called the object spinjitzu, which is, and he has also that little rope there. You see where he can just glide like that. It's very, very cool. Aaron's a pretty cool character, voiced by Devin Mack, who voiced Sonic from Sonic Prime, Vangelis from Master of the Mountain, and Crystallized Vangelis. Pretty cool. Can't really say much, but he lost his parents, and he likes to help people. Well, they didn't, and that's all we can say about Aaron. Aaron didn't get much to do this season because there's a character that had a bigger focus than Aaron, but there is technically no focus characters, according to the writers Kevin Burke and Doc Wyatt. So, but in me and my everyone else's opinions, Sora is the main character of this season because Sora is from Imperium, and Sora has one of the most tragic backstories of any character. Probably the most tragic like ninja backstory. And yeah, Aaron and Sora are confirmed to be ninjas by the characters and by Lego. Wildfire is an interesting case. We don't know. I mean, the wiki considers Wildfire a ninja, but the characters or Lego didn't classify her as a ninja. So maybe season 2 they're gonna classify her as a ninja. I don't know. And technically, the show didn't really tell us much about Wildfire's fire, like heat power too. So I don't know about that. But anyways, we're going back to Sora. Sora is a really good character. She starts off optimistic and will eventually learn, not to be optimistic from other characters. Sora also has the power for a technology which she gains from Ryu, right there, or the dragon who is next to Kai, right there. So, and then Ryu is a really cool, cute little character, Brian Drumman. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. And Sora is voiced by Sabrina Petrie, who voiced Vanya in Master of the Mountain and a brief cameo in Seabound. So some cool technology and you know pretty cool character for Sora. You know, and how she worked her way up from being autistic, and she's best friends with Aaron, and they're just and Sora's just learning how to be about, and then eventually stands up for her parents. After the whole Imperium trauma, Sora's been having a lot of trouble from her past, and she overcame her past, which is good. And it was thanks to some side characters like Geo and Ericor and Euphrasia. They were helping Sora in a way, learn not being optimistic and be more hopeful, which Aaron likes like hope too. So, and then all right, so that is it. And then let's talk about Lloyd, the only one out of the original six to still be a main character. Now, Lloyd in this season is the Master Wu, technically, of this season, probably of the show too. So that's why Wu isn't really in the season at all much, because Lloyd is finally going to be a master, which he would have, which feels good to say because that was the direction they were taking him since season 5, and then season 8 they made him master, but then Master Wu as a baby came back, And then, I mean, I guess for season 8, and then season 9, Lloyd didn't really get to be really a master much because, his friends were split. And season 10, Lloyd doesn't, stop becoming the master, and then Master Wu came back. And now that Master Wu is out of the picture, Lloyd now is officially the master of this team of and the leader and trainer of Eren and Sora, and obviously the ninjas themselves, a master figure. And it's good to see Lloyd, start out where he was, where he was trying to search for his pals, and the merge was for several years. So think of this: Lloyd didn't know if his friends survived for several years, and then found Kai, and then after a few weeks, he found Eren, and who also did spinjitzu. So he thought it was one of the ninjas. So he followed Eren and saved Eren and Sora. And then Lloyd eventually found Kai Nia. I mean, he refound Kai and also Nia this time in the Realm of Madness, or King of Madness. I think believe they changed the name, but Realm of Madness is how we know it. So, and then and then Lloyd doesn't did. I mean, they found Zane eventually in the end of part 1. Lloyd did not see Cole or Jay. Cole only saw Nia and Sora, and Jay didn't even see them all. So, in the minds of the characters, Nia told obviously them at the end that Cole is alive, but for Jay, they still either think he's dead or he's somewhere else. The audience knows where Jay is, but we'll talk about that later. And it's nice to have Lloyd, take after Master Wu and try to help take care of the monastery, like episode 11 and of Dragons Rising. So Lloyd is doing pretty good right now, and some people who hated Lloyd in the last season probably are now happy that Lloyd is fixed. Now, as for the rest of the ninjas, oh yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Ryu a little bit. Ryu is very, very cute, and honestly, he doesn't do much, but besides being cute and help Sora out, which is pretty cool. He's not annoying, obviously. He's just a cute um, baby dragon Ryu who has a secret power, which presumably is going to be explored upon within the season. So season 2, and then some people theorize he might grow bigger each season. So maybe season 2 we're gonna see Ryu grow, throughout the seasons grow up and then to become a big dragon near the end of the Dragons Rising show. So. Alright, but that's it for the main characters of the show, and obviously season 1. Now we're gonna get to the secondary characters. So let's start off with Kai, since we did get introduced to him first, briefly, then, we saw him again in episode 4 with Nia, but, start with Kai. Kai is now being a mentor towards Wildfire, the heat, flaming girl right there, you see? That's Wildfire. Wildfire has all of Kai's anger, but a lot more bigger and higher up, so Kai is now trying to help Wildfire control the anger and try to learn, the best way. And they don't start off well, Kai and Wildfire, but then near the end, near the end of the season, they bond because Kai's helping Wildfire, and Kai also taught Wildfire some stuff that Master Wu would say. I mean, obviously, some of this stuff was, a little bit made up, as in like we didn't see it, but this probably, I mean, it probably could have happened after the seasons or after Chris Rise, and they did mention something after Seabound when Kai said he lost his sister to the sea. He said that he tries to meditate and tries to go in one spot, moving his hands side to side, So pretty cool way to connect to Seabound, since Ninjago Dragons Rising is a new show, but has same continuity from the original show. So we will still get mentions from the original show. We might get some cameos from the original show, but mainly it's a new show. So, and that's really about Kai this season. Let's talk about Nia. Nia this season. Some people didn't like Nia, including myself. I did say in my original review that Nia was just whining and pretending like she was always the water ninja and never Samurai X, where she where she had her powers, etc., etc. So Nia this season wasn't annoying, so that's good, and she was a very good, in a way, mentor to Sora, but obviously Sora's mentor will always be Lloyd, but Nia and Sora grouped up together, and like episode 14, Nia tried to tell Sora not to doubt herself, and it was a good time Nia had with Sora, but probably Lloyd is gonna the ninja team will be back together, is probably is going to be back together, presumably not going to split up season 2. So Sora's probably going to learn a little bit more from Lloyd, obviously. But Nia told Sora that's pretty good. Another secondary character is Zane. Zane this season feels less robotic than he usually is. Zane usually just they usually do some silly stuff with Zane, like make him into a pirate or detective. But this season and then just blow him off. This season they addressed that if he's been always the same Zane, since he's been offline in the Imperium cocoon for all this time during the merge. Now we do know that we're not going to learn about this in season 2, so who knows how Zane got in there? We'll probably figure it out maybe season 3 or season 4. But we're not going to figure out that mystery season 2. So they're leaving some mysteries, playing them out for a few seasons. And then the last secondary character, besides Cole, which we'll get to Cole right after, is Alfonso Frohike. Now, why I'm classifying him as a secondary character is because he's now living with the ninja and taking on a pixel type role where he's going to stay at the monastery and help the ninjas out. So he's the assistant keeper of the monastery, and he's been a lot more prevalent than other side characters. So I don't know if Mr. Frohike is still a side character. I mean, Pixel kind of is considered one, but Pixel I think nowadays is considered a secondary character. So Mr. Frohike, Alfonso Frohike, just stays in the monastery with Zane, but Zane, obviously got taken to the administration, which we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But he just stays there and makes some funny jokes. I mean, he's okay, but we're probably gonna see him, but I mean, I don't care really much. But he's okay. He's harmless. Last but not least is Cole. Now Cole in this season for the 2 episodes, well, 3 episodes, 2 episodes. He's there for like a minute or two, but he's there for pretty. Cole in this season's been really really good. He has this new Earth mech that he thought was made by Geo, but then learns that it was not. It was him the whole time, which is kind of a hint towards Sora. You know how Sora will be able to activate her own powers, not take it from Ryu, eventually. So that's what happened to Ryu. I mean, that's what happened to Cole. Cole was in the Land of Lost Things, which is part of the Imperium. He's been taking care of the Finders, and there was some names like Fritz, Spitz, and Bonzel, I'm pretty sure, and Geo. Pretty sure I got all of them right. And one was a Formling, one was a Serpentine, and one was just like a skeleton. type. So he's been taking care of them, of the Finders, when he woke up in the land of lost things from the merge, because the merge separated everybody in this everybody. So Cole went to, so Cole's been helping them protect themselves from the Hoarder, which ends up being later called Sweeper, is something from Imperium that the Imperium threw out in the land of lost things. And we also see like the temple, the second monastery, also land there. So like pieces of the land of the second monastery from episode 10, we see that some of the got broken apart and was thrown there, and some, was still Imperium themselves. So it's a good miss. So it's very. So it explains why Zane wasn't able to activate those gates, right after they came back. So pretty cool answer, must say. And then Cole, eventually does leave the Finders after they beat the Hoarder, and he was originally going to come back with the Neon Sword to defeat Imperium, but he has to go and follow Master Wu, and presumably we're going to figure that mystery out next season. I'd be surprised if we're not going to cut to Cole next season. Because I feel like that's what they're going towards, is we're gonna figure out the Cole and Master Wu mystery. Well, maybe not the Master Wu mystery. We're gonna figure out what Cole's gonna do in season 2, I believe. And then we can get to the side characters like Creel, who was an interesting antagonist for Eren and Sora. For the mech races and stuff that how. But we later revealed how in episode 3 that the reason why she wanted to win that race, beat Eren Sora, was to save her 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 minion or friend Targi. But that's in episode 3, and from an anonymous somebody, they were trying to get all the money. Well, obviously Labo won, who is another cool character who says Labo Labo a lot, and is pretty cool, fun little character for Labo Labo. And then the rest of the side characters, we already talked. All right, let's talk about Ericor. Ericor is the last Jin, well, except Nauticon, obviously, but the last Jin that's free, and alive, and it was away on a different quest, somewhere else. Which we don't know exactly what he was doing, but it was a good enough explanation how he was away. And then while he was away, Ninjago was getting destroyed, which Nia was told originally earlier, Sora that Ninjago was destroyed after they beat the Curse Realm, but Nia didn't say anything about how it was her fault, etc., or the ninjas. So maybe Nia doesn't know, or Nia just knew Ninjago was destroyed after the Curse Realm was destroyed. But yeah, and then Ericor doesn't realize that Nia is responsible either. So Nia or the ninja is responsible. So unless it leads to a plot twist where later Ericor ends up finding out, but I don't know. I mean, he seems pretty cool, with the Nia and Sora, Nia and Sora try to help, Ericor cheer him up, and then Ericor uses his wish magic, and he regrows his land pieces by pieces, since he had a little piece of sand, So every wish he makes could bring back his realm, and maybe the people from the realm itself. Let's talk, and then alright, so Geo, we already mentioned how the reason Geo didn't want to tell Cole that it was his form was because Geo wanted Cole to He wanted to make sure Cole was still around and was afraid Cole would leave him, but Cole literally just didn't mind much and told him he will always have his back, etc., etc. Euphrasia is the new Windmaster that everyone was trying to figure out, like, who's the new Windmaster. So Euphrasia is the new Windmaster who didn't want to use her powers, because she didn't want to get exiled from the Cloud Kingdom, which they did fix the Cloud Kingdom since the Cloud Kingdom originally was writing people's destinies. So it means, for example, if they didn't fix that, we would just think, hey, the Cloud Kingdom was responsible for Lloyd being the Great Ninja, Moro taking them, coming back, etc., etc. So they fixed the Cloud Kingdom, and Euphrasia eventually learned to use her powers, which told Sora to just keep trying your powers, even though it messes up sometimes. And then we got, let's talk about. And then we have Jay, who honestly I'm not really sure where to place Jay, to be honest. I mean, Jay is a side character or just a minor character, so Jay right now in this season only was on screen for 30 seconds besides the opening, but even the opening, like, he was not on screen for that much. He was on screen for like 15 seconds, so between episode 1 and 2. And Jay didn't really speak those 2 episodes, so I don't know if that really counts. So episode 17, the administration, with Jay was there for like 30 seconds to after one of the agents told him about the boy Aaron, which they didn't know his name Aaron, ran off. And some people assume he had lost his memories. I'm not sure if he lost his memories. It looks like he lost his memories a little bit, so who knows? But he's just at the administration, so presumably the ninjas are gonna have to go back to the administration once they figured out Jay's there, or eventually maybe some of the villains are just gonna come there and take Jay with them, and Jay's gonna do some evil stuff. Who knows? I don't know. Speaking of villains, let's talk about our villains for this season. So let's start off with our main antagonist, Empress Beatrix, also known as the Good Empress. Empress Beatrix took over. Empress Beatrix and another antagonist named Lord Ross, which we'll get to him in a few minutes, killed her dad and took over Imperium and want the citizens to follow her rule, and they don't want them to have any free will in their minds, and believe that, and she wants them to believe that dragon power is safe and good. And she's a very crazy villain at the end of the season, where she just blasts everyone with the merch weapon that she got. So she's a pretty crazy villain. She's a cool villain, for the time we had her. And we don't know what ends up happening to Empress Beatrix, since everybody who got blasted into the Mergequake weapon, which Aaron and Sora, Sora disabled the weapon and Aaron pushed her in with the Spinjitzu into the Mergequake weapon. I mean the Mergequakes. So we don't. So everyone else from the Mergequakes come back. Well, we don't really see Empress Beatrix come back. So who knows where Empress Beatrix is at now? I'm pretty sure Empress Beatrix is now roaming one of the merged realms right now. Probably ran away because she does have her mech. Her mech is a little damaged, but she can still use it. So she's somewhere with her mech somewhere off. We'll probably see her sometime before before the end of the show. I'm not sure if we're gonna see her next season, but that's gonna be a mystery. We'll figure out eventually. Then we got Lord Ross, who is the secondary antagonist, who didn't do much for the second half of the season. Who Lord Ross was there just for mainly the first half, but after episode 10, he's gone. Except for episode 18, they cut to him, and I mean episode 11 and 12 they show a cameo of him in his jail cell, and then 18 they show him for another minute or two talking to Empress Beatrix, trying to convince Empress Beatrix to let him out. So trying to manipulate Beatrix, which didn't work out. And then episode 20, he finally breaks out and he now convinces Jordana to help and work for his master. So we're going to eventually see Lord Ross's master soon, which is a pretty cool way to end this season off with a mystery about Lord Ross's master. Like there's a big guy, and it made sense honestly that Lord Ross wasn't even done this season. Like I mean, to be fair, he didn't do much after episode 10, and for the time we had him for the first half, like it did seem like he was gonna do something. He was up to his own plans. So Lord Ross was a pretty cool, intimidating foe who can't wait to see him come back, next season, which it is confirmed or most like confirmed by the sets and by the end of the season that Lord Ross is going to come back next season and is going to do some stuff, which who knows what he's going to do. But I mean, we do know his army is going to be called the Wolf Mask Army, who we don't know much about, and he's going to work with Cinder and Jordana. So, well, we might as well get to Jordana since Jordana was not really a character, but just a rival to Sora, who got bitter for Sora, since Jordana wanted the spot in Imperium, second in the lab, but Sora took it, but then eventually, Sora left Imperium, so Jordana took over, that spot and working with Dr. Lareau. And then, Jordana eventually tries to prove herself by getting the Source Dragon drained, which she did succeed, to make that last Dragon Energy Core, but it got destroyed for Empress Beatrix. But Jordana does have some leftover sample of the Source Dragon. I mean, I'll call it the Lloyd Source Dragon to be specific, or Energy Source Dragon, because it looks like it's the Energy Source Dragon. I'm not sure. So presumably what's going to happen with that is maybe we're going to get one Source Dragon, each season, probably. So next season it seems like it's going to be Kai's, judging by the leaks and the sets. So that's going to be interesting. There are 7 Source Dragons we know of. I mean, 6 of them are kind of already revealed whether they are. It's going to be Fire, Lightning, Ice, Earth, Water, Energy, and then we don't know the 7th one, which is very interesting. Maybe some people think it's a evil Source Dragon, which is going to be very interesting to see, So yeah, Jordana is gonna probably get a better focus next season since Jordana didn't really do much this season. I mean, Lord Ross did at least more, but you know. All right, let's talk about Dr. Lareau. Dr. Lareau was one of the characters that you love to hate on screen. Like every time she would pop up on screen, you were gonna hate her. Like she's one of those characters that you're gonna hate and love. Like love that how evil she is, but hate how her actions are to Sora. So every time she pops up episode 4 honestly was fine for Dr. Laura, but then starting from episode 6, that's when we started to really hate Dr. Laura because Dr. Laura really Sora looked up to Dr. Laura, and Dr. Laura ended up, not being the cool hero that she envisioned, but a lot more eviler. And then eventually, the what's weird about her story is the way it ends is she just gets dragged off by Imperium guards after Jordana tells them to drag her off. So we don't really know what Dr. Lareau was up to, and she's not really she's not in episode 20 near the end, so she's not good, I'm pretty sure, so we don't know what Dr. Lareau is up to. So hopefully we figure out what happened to Dr. Lareau, because she got dragged away by the Imperium Guards in episode 19. So let's talk about about Rapton. Rapton was the first antagonist that was revealed. You know, like big antagonist to be revealed. Similar to Samakai. I think of Rapton was like, I mean, Samakai was obviously the original, like, but he wasn't the main antagonist of the pilots. It was obviously Garmadon, but Lord Garmadon. Think of Rapton similar to Samakai's position, where he just, but you know, but and then Lord Ras was kind of like that too, but I don't know. Anyways, Rapton was a pretty cool antagonist. You know, he was very funny and eventually, you know, turned good at near the end a little bit. I don't know if he's fully good, but you know, he turned near the end. It was a lot of the stuff he was saying was funny about unicorns and was making himself look overconfident. You know, which Lord Ras tries to call him out on episode 1 about how your overconfidence is your weakness. So Rapton's a pretty cool, you know, antagonist. You know, we had him for a while, and you know, the second part he didn't really do much. I mean, he was in episode. I mean, he was spying on the ninja a little bit in episode 11 with the temple and told Beatrix about the 3 dragon energy cores, and 12. You know, he's there for a little bit, and then he comes 15 when he gets captured by snail people, which I already forgot their names. And you know, the Lloyd tries to save him, and then double crosses Lloyd. You know, gets electrocuted by the administration agents when they take the Dragon Energy Core, which later, you know, Lloyd and Aaron, and then Zane, which they found Zane there, which succeeded in getting it back. And then, you know, this is where Rapton decided to not help Beatrix much and try to double cross Beatrix, you know, with the Resistance Team Protection Force, which they originally were, you know, on the side of helping Beatrix, but then once they figured out that Beatrix was lying, they decided to help the ninjas out and save Imperium. So that's it for our good buddy Rapton. Rapton has been good. And then Dorama is like a magician, but he's a cool magician. I mean, I don't really have much to say about Dorama. Dorama's an okay character. I mean, in the end, they didn't really give him a satisfying conclusion yet for the season either. He's just handcuffed still and still there in that tower. So who knows what happens to Dorama? And yeah, we are done with the characters. Man, that was a while. Oh yeah, that's Photax right there. Photax are the stuff that Sora tried to, you know, shut down in part 1 because they got revived by Dorama. So now I think it's official time. We can talk about episode 1, The Merge. Let's put size on there. This is, alright, here we go. The Merge Part 1. This episode, man, this episode's like a starter, you know, for the show, and it's mainly about Aaron and Sora, with Lloyd being, you know, near the end. But this is mainly about Aaron and Sora, and then, you know, Lloyd is the only ninja to speak in this episode, actually, besides Aaron and Sora, which, you know, they are ninjas. Obviously, they were confirmed to be ninjas. So, you know, that we start off with a, you know, cool flashback how Aaron was trying to be like his pals, the ninjas, and then, you know, the merge started and was tearing off, and you know, blew Aaron away from his family, and Lloyd saves him, and he puts them there, and Lloyd and his friends are trying to save Aaron's parents. So they went, you know, and then boom, the merge finished, and then we learn all 16 realms, you know, connect together, and then we cut to Aaron and Sora, at the junkyard trying to get parts for the bike, and then they talk. Aaron talks about how he wants to go, and then they get to their penthouse where Aaron talks about how he wants to visit Imperium one day, which he eventually does, obviously, but Sora tells Aaron that's not the the cool place that he thinks. Then we cut to the train looking area with Rapton and Lord Ross how where Lord Ross is trying to tell Raptor not to be overconfident, and they and then Rapton comes and tries to tell him that he will make sure he brings it to that nothing will ever happen to the dragon. Don't worry, Lord Ross. So they show us a little bit of a look of Ryu who was captured. Then we get to the mech bike race scene where they meet where we meet Frohiki, who is running the event, and Aaron uses pies since they're out of money. Since they don't have really money, so they use Aaron tries to give Frohiki a pie as a token to join in. And then we meet Creel. Creel sends his minions to sabotage the mech without Aaron and Sora noticing about their turbo boosts. So and then they start the race, and then while the race is starting, we cut to Rapton, who apparently Ryu was strong enough to break the door open, the cage he was in open, and he manages to escape with Rapton and the Imperium claws of hunters, claws of Imperium trying to and go after Ryu. So near the end of the finishing line, Sora and Aaron decide to go after helping Ryu and win the race, and Labo obviously won the race. So, and then they save Ryu, and then they run, and then because of the Creel's trick that malfunction, because of Creel, who went to the mech and malfunctioned the mech a little bit. So when Sora tried to use her turbo boost, they fell, and Ryu gave some power to Sora, which we learn later is technology, which is cool power, by the way, for Sora. And then they save. So with Sora's power up, she rebuilds the mech, makes it stronger. And then they fight for a bit. Lord Rass comes in and takes down Aaron, Sora, and then Orion puts them in cages. And I mean, Ryu is in a different cage, and Aaron and Sora are handcuffed into it in a train. And then Lloyd eventually comes in and saves the day after Aaron started to lose hope, which was a pretty cool ending for this. Now, obviously, I'm gonna try to simplify these episodes since we're back to 20-minute episodes and not since we're back to 20-minute episodes and not And now we come to the merge part 2, which was first part was merge part 1. This is part 2, where Lloyd saves Aaron, Sora, and kicks Rapton's butt at wall, and then they escape. Lloyd, Aaron, Sora, and Ryu. They escape, and Lloyd finds it weird how finds it weird how Sora has powers, and asks if Sora if her parents had the powers before her, and she says no. And then and then Lloyd was impressed to see Aaron have Spinjitzu power on his own. So they go back to the monastery and try to find Ryu's home and it's apparently called the Land of Three Mountains. And before they go there, they give us Lloyd tells how Master was trying to search that, but he wasn't able to tell the ninjas, specifically Lloyd, this. The only thing he said was family is key. and then and the merge was starting. The ninjas went out to save the people, and Lloyd met Aaron, and Aaron wants Lloyd to train them, and Lloyd didn't think he had the skill, so and then Sora finished fixing the Destiny's Bounty, which is a new version. Kai took the old one, and they learned about merge quakes, how merge quakes keep happening, and the only way to beat merge quakes was elemental powers. So pretty cool how they focus on the merge quakes, for the season mainly the second half, but they try to resolve that. So and then they try to find go to the land of three mountains, and Rapton and his Imperium Claws of Imperium follow them, and they try to take down Ryu's kind, while the matriarch dragon, which is the mom and leader of Ryu's group, thought that Lloyd, Aaron, and Sora were trying to was trying to endanger Ryu. So they went to prove themselves and attacked them, and Rapton and Paul's Imperium, and Lloyd, had an idea of how the matriarch dragon could give Lloyd powers, to beat the Rapton and his crew. So, and they succeeded, and then Ryu decided to stay with Lloyd, Aaron, and Sora instead of join back with his kind. And then the matriarch dragon did tell them that Ryu, if he wanted to come back, he would know where they are. And then we see Lord Ross, who was spying for on the battle, was basically telling them the plan worked perfectly. Not only did the Great Ninja reveal himself, but he revealed matriarch dragons. Now, it is confusing what the plan was, so presumably the plan was, they probably were trying to see if there was dragons, like there were still lots of dragons still left over. I'm not really sure what the plan was, but they did cut to Empress Beatrix, laughing, saying how the merged realms will be hers, and shows us a dragon, which we didn't, know if it was called a source dragon, but they showed us that. Pretty cool stuff. It was a good episode. Okay, alright, we're going to Crossroad Carnival. Okay, we're getting rid of that. Then we're getting to Crossroad Carnival. This episode was not that much focused on story, but this episode's mainly focused on the change after Ninjago City being crossroads where all the different people from different realms go. Aaron, and then in the previous episode, Lloyd agreed to become Aaron Sora's master, So this episode, Lloyd's trying to train Aaron Sora, like how Master would do it. So he would drink the tea, while Aaron Sora, would do the obstacle course. With Aaron being excited and Sora not being, which, I mean, pretty cool. We don't get to see much of these, but training sequences, but they're really, really fun. I like it. And then, how Sora wants to go to the Crossroad Carnival, and, but Lloyd says he doesn't want them to, so they end up double crossing. And Sora end up just going to there anyways, and sneaking out, doing their stealth training. So Lloyd has to go after them while while Aaron and Sora are trying to help Creel, save her minions, like Targi and some of them others who are like the rats from season 12 Prime Emperor. So they save. So Aaron and Sora, battle Dorama, who ends up becoming that anonymous person who wanted the ransom Creel, and we saw Dorama just drain the rat's energy, which they probably get saved. They get saved probably like fixed after Aaron, Sora, and then Lloyd beat up Dorama and his puppet or whatever, like the puppet they destroy. pretty cool show. And then before the Aaron Sora and before Lloyd found Aaron Sora, he found like these people remembering the ninjas, making a good story. So it was a pretty cool episode. I mean, and then at the end, Lord Ras breaks Durama out. So Durama now joins the Claws of Imperium. So not really a big oh, I love I just cuts there, Sora. Oh, I could just do that. Why didn't I think about that before? Man, I feel really bad. I've been cutting. I made my screen so big that I was cutting there. There you go. Now it's a lot more fixed up, and there you can see the titles. And then there we go. Beyond Madness. Now this episode starts with Sora doubting that she has a power, but then Lloyd, trying to give hope and to sort of say that she does have a power. So, but then we see like the old Destiny's Bounty come in burning hot, and then they follow it, and then they eventually figure out it's from the realm of madness. So they go after, they go to the realm of madness while Doctor LaRoe and Dorama and Lord Ross, Lord Ross wants to figure out if they could rebuild the folk tax, and then they said no, and they were hinting that they need the original creator, but they can rebuild that one prototype. So when they get to the realm of madness, they see the dragons battling the Kroglings, and they assumed Aaron Sora assumed that the dragons are the good guys and the Kroglings are the bad guys, because they've been helping dragons this whole time. So they didn't want to think of a plan, so they just assumed they were evil and just went down. Which is a pretty cool way, to show that not all dragons are gonna be good. So they gotta be careful when they're helping dragons. So, then they saw Nia and then they stopped helping the dragons. The dragons flew off, and then Nia introduces Aaron, Sora, Lloyd, and Ryu to the Kraglings leader, and the Kraglings don't like dragons, so they obviously dislike Ryu. And then they go in and eat mud, and then Lloyd asked Nia if she ended up in this realm, and she said no, and she landed somewhere else near the realm of madness, but she saw Kai helping the Kraglings, so she went to help the Kraglings, and then they were fighting, and then the until Kai got smashed by a boulder falling off somewhere, and so Nia decided to send the Destiny's Bounty on autopilot back to the monastery of Spinjitzu. And then, we see Kai, who is alive, obviously, but led the dragons back to the village. So, they try to help the Kraglings before the dragons were eating I forgot what that was, that liquidy thing that drains the Kraglings, his life force. And then I love Kai's joke. Hey, what? Are you just babysitting or something? Who are the kids? Are you babysitting something? That was a funny Kai joke. So they save so they obviously, save the village by Ryu draining the dragon's power. So Ryu ends up passing out, and the Kraglings decide to celebrate Ryu. While in the battle, Sora's powers, stopped working, so she started doubting herself a lot more, and that's kind of where the episode ends. Good episode. We're getting to episode 5 now. 5 time. Yeah, this was a good episode. This was a very good episode about about the Cloud Kingdom. And this is where Sora learns a lesson from Euphrasia, who didn't originally want to use her powers and eventually decides to use her powers to benefit the kingdom. And then so for most of they asked in the original show the leader of these crew of this was Fenwick, but now we have Suetonius, who is now the head writer of this, and then they try to say how they wrote in Destiny, so there will be no more merge quakes, and then it fails, and then we have these tentacle monsters who we don't know what realm they come from, so we'll probably figure out eventually, maybe, where these tentacle monster things are. But they pop up throughout the episode from a merge quake, which the ninjas try to close it, so obviously they succeed, but then when they try to ask how to beat the merge quakes, with those little worms, the worms, turn evil. So someone tried to corrupt the worms, when they asked for how to beat the merge quakes. Obviously, we figure out, later, and it did look like they were gonna say the three dragon energy cores, but they got cut off. So the ninjas had to escape them, and then they beat the tentacles, and that's really it. The episode. But the only thing that really happened afterwards was Rapton, who was there for a brief time, just captured ice dragons. That's really it. I'm gonna be honest, which is okay. It was a good episode. Oh, but now we get to this episode. This episode was a really sad episode. It's probably the saddest episode of of Dragons Rising. So we learn in this episode about Photax and Sora's tragic backstory, how she looked up to Dr. LaRoe and tried, but she saw Sora the dragon, which we now know is called Xanth, thanks to Ericor, but Imperium captured Xanth slash Sora, and that's where Sora's name comes from. Is literally from that dragon that she saw. She wanted to remember that dragon that she saw in Imperium. So Sora wants to go and fix her mistakes by trying to shut down the Photax. So with Aaron and Lloyd, obviously are gonna come, but Kai is gonna sit that out. So because in case the merge quakes come back, he's there to stop them. So he's just there, and also probably to focus more on Aaron and Sora and Lloyd together. So Ryu also is coming, with them. So they think of a plan. So they get in and they make fake ID cards. Dr. Lampshade Floor Tile is Aaron's undercover name, and then Lloyd's was Doyle Magon. And then Sora's is just Sora's, which Lloyd is curious. Why is it called? Why are you using your real name? And then Sora doesn't really explain that. Her real name is Anna, obviously. But I think it was only explained to just it was only explained to Aaron in episode 10, but they didn't really Sora didn't tell anyone else. But they probably figured it out off screen, Probably while they're in the monastery. But who knows? So they're there, and then they tried to sneak around, but they got stopped because they weren't wearing their shoulder pads. So they went to the shaming floor. So Ryu provides an escape, and they all separate. Lloyd goes off and sees Wildfire, who very big hothead, character, and Aaron and Ryu just getting chased by the guards out and meet the resistance team, who isn't led by Percival, who originally hated dragons, and Sora ends up getting into the lab where the Photox are, but she gets stopped by Dr. Laurel and gets kind of captured in a way. And that's really where the episode ends. That is episode 6. Six, six. Next episode, we got episode number 7, Mindless Beasts. Aaron, and then so this episode we start with Aaron and Ryu, meeting Percival, and how Aaron tries to help them out and thinks that they're doing the right thing and joining the right side, but then later finds out that they're trying to hunt down dragons, and they see Ryu in the garbage trash, so they get angry at Aaron for trying to hide Ryu. So that's really interesting. And then Lloyd and Wildfire. Wildfire thinks Lloyd is just working with the Imperium, but then Lloyd tries to save Wildfire. So now Wildfire trusts Lloyd and is on that side. And Lloyd, misbelieved that Wildfire's power is fire, but it's not really revealed in the show. But it's kind of revealed more that it's heat. But pretty sure in season 2 they'll say that this is Wildfire's power completely. So they rescue Wildfire's family, aka Heatwave the dragon. So which is and then they're gonna talk about the story, but Lloyd and Wildfire save the other dragons in there. So then we're gonna cut to Sora and Dr. Laurel. Dr. Laurel not being happy to see Sora, and Sora also not being happy. But she tries to, she sees dramas at not in prison and is working with Dr. Laurel to train dragons, and they won't train the dragons if Sora creates more Photax, which she is not going to do. So she tries to trick them and disables that Photax, but there's a lot more Photax they need. So Sora has to activate them for it to work. So they turn it to. So Sora and Xanth or Sora the dragon try to escape, but wrapped in and Imperium's calls the hunters stop them from escaping and throw them back. And Sora is now forced forced to activate the Photax, because otherwise they're going to keep draining the dragons since Lord Ras came in and told them that. So at the end of the episode, literally, they made more Photax, and Sora regrets for what she did. That's really the end of the episode. I mean, I'm trying to simplify by talking about 3 different stories. They cut to each other a lot, so. This episode, for the first half of the episode, is about Wildfire. Wildfire, basically, they show us the story of how Wildfire was sent as a baby towards the wilderness, and how Heatwave has been taking care of Wildfire plus the little robot, which the robot doesn't just stays there in the wilderness. We never see that robot again, so who knows what happens. But we learn, how when the merge happened, it gave Wildfire powers, and Heatwave eventually got captured by the Imperium, caused the hunt, plus Imperium and Wildfire followed, and got captured in the progress. So that's it for the first half, and then the second half of the episode, Lloyd and Wildfire take the dragons out into the city and make a ruckus, try to head for the exit, but Rapton stops them, obviously, from escaping, so they go into it. And thanks to the new Votax, which are indestructible, the dragons and Lloyd and Wildfire are having a hard time. So and then and then Aaron and Ryu managed to get away temporarily, but Ryu got captured without Aaron knowing. So Ryu's got is taken by Percival to the Imperium headquarters where Lord Ross and Empress Beatrix are gonna drain that dragon in the next episode. So, but Sora did manage to escape. Sora and Xanth managed to escape in this episode, and meet up with Aaron and Lloyd. And Lloyd and Aaron think that Sora was responsible until Sora said that she was trying to save Xanth. So and then once they figured, and then Sora figured out how to beat them Ryu's with Ryu powering her up. So Aaron and Sora went back for Ryu. And that's and then Kai Kai in this episode literally was following Master Wu's ghost and ends up in the Cloud Kingdom's archive and finds Nia. And that's the end of the episode. Episode 8. That's gonna be good. Alright. The common side. I love how most of these titles are now just showing off of it from the Imperium views. This episode starts with a flashback, which didn't really happen in the original show, but kind of doesn't make sense in ways. But it shows how Lloyd's trying to be calm and Master Wu's, and it brings up to later in the episode while Aaron and Sora were trying to find Ryu, and they eventually figure out where Ryu is, and and then they ask Lloyd, to provide a distraction so Empress Beatrix and Lord Ras will come out to fight. So they take the dragons back to the palace area, and so that way Aaron and Sora could free Ryu, which didn't work out because Dr. LaRoe and Giordano stopped them, and they destroyed the comms. And then, so Kai and Nia eventually found Zane in a cocoon, and Zane brought the Imperium Monastery to rise. And then they ended with ninjas never quit. That is it for the episode. Next episode. Alright, we are on the final episode of part 1. This is part 1, everybody, not part 2. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Part 1's ending, the Battle of the Second Monastery. This episode, Zane joins the fight, and obviously they're not doing so well, so they try the dragons and them escape into the Imperium Monastery while Empress Beatrix and the Claws of Imperium try to break down the door, which they're unsuccessful until near the end. Then we have Aaron and Sora break free from Dr. LaRoe and Jordana, so they fight them off, and then Dr. LaRoe runs away while Jordana's fighting Aaron and Sora. So, and then tells Lord Ras to come back and fight for them, and So, and then Jordana, gets defeated, and then Aaron and Sora eventually beat, Lord Ras, before Aaron, got unconscious, but knocked unconscious by Lord Ras, but Sora eventually did free Ryu since Lord Ras punched Sora and destroyed the computer. And so they trapped Lord Ras there, and Lloyd and Zane eventually find the power source, aka Imperium Source Dragon. So they were trying to free it, but they weren't able. The Source Dragon didn't want to be free because it would tear down the world if it was freed. But did give some power to Lloyd and told him that it was a conduit. and did manage to free the dragons, except for the Swiss dragon, and they ran away. And then Empress Beatrix wants revenge on the ninja. So and the and then they cut to a few days passing, and Lloyd tries to tell Aaron how he might be a better ninja than the rest of us. Don't stop. And one way to find is to be so. But then we cut to Empress Beatrix betraying Lord Ross. So they and then or Rafton takes the hammer, even though he doesn't use it this season. He just takes the hammer away, and we see Empress Beatrix in our new mech, and that's where part one ends. Basically, most of this part one was just the dragons fighting in the city, which was pretty cool. But it's nice we're gonna have some new stuff. We're gonna cut to all right. Here we go. Episode 11, starting the part 2 that released in October. All right, let's go. Temple of the Dragon Course. This episode, we start with the ninjas trying to save the city from a mergequake, and then Zane tries to tell them that and when they get back to the monastery, how the mergequakes are getting worse, and how Nia had a map from episode 7 of this place, so they connected together, and they travel to the Temple of the Dragon Course, and then Rapton, was spying on them and follows them while Empress Beatrix lies to her citizens, saying that dragons didn't escape, and they capture them while Percival and the protection force, didn't, saw them literally escape. So they were curious why Empress Beatrix was lying to them. So they go to and then the ninjas obviously go to the temple, and they figured out the code, and they battle a spirit, which after they battle the spirit and rebuilt his altar, the altar the spirit was saying how the mergequake split the altar, so that's why he was evil, and there was two of them. So they told him the story how the first Ninjutsu master built other realms, and how he was and they were trying to, and they built 3 dragon cores to stabilize the world, and the spirit said that he would reveal to the grandson of the first Ninjutsu master, Lloyd. So only Lloyd would be able to ask for the course, which they did. So they figured out one was in the Medallic Gardens Wellness, and I forgot, and the Pentacle Peaks or whatever it was called. Sorry. Rapton did see it too, though, so he showed Empress Beatrix. So now the chase is on, and they're off through the course too, while Kuroheki now is taking care of the monastery while they're going to be gone. Episode 11 is over. I'm trying my best to simplify these episodes, but these are long episodes. Okay, well, this one, honestly, I can probably simplify this one probably a little bit easier than the rest, because this one didn't do much. This episode was about how they were picking their teams. Well, Nia and Sora, Lloyd and Aaron, and the Wildfire Kai. Well, and Zane's deciding to stay back with Kurohiki to check the gates. And after that, and then Rapton, we cut to Rapton and Imperium quick, and how they're sending their troops over to those respective areas. And so then we cut to Lloyd and Aaron, and it's mainly about Lloyd and Aaron. The other parts in part 2 before they get back together are literally just cut between 2 stories. The rest of this episode is literally about Lloyd and Aaron, who they were originally trying to practice, Aaron's objects ninjutsu, which they don't know how it works, and they eventually crash Destiny's bounty. So they meet the Marlopians, or pirate crew, who out that they are controlling the crab monster who they try attacking. So Lloyd, Aaron try to escape, and they find these farmers who they have to help them. And I mean, I don't really care about the farmers much; they're not that memorable. Not gonna lie. So they try to teach them how to fight back their homes, and then they eventually, get the crown off of the Merlopians when they get back to the town area. And so they figured out that the teeth was was controlling the monster and was controlling them by the crown. So they beat the crab monster. The crab monster shrinks, gets defeated, and the Merlopians and the farmers are now together, and they fix the Destiny's bounty, and they're on their way. And they wonder what the other ninjas are up to. Which we cut to Kai and Wildfire in a trapped in a forest, down with who are literally just trapped, and they say it's their fault, and with the core Green Bone Warriors. But then all right, here we go. Next episode. This episode we cut to Zane and Prohickey. Zane and Prohickey are trying to get the money needed to rebuild the gate. So they basically at first it went to Creel, but Zane was disguised. They wanted to give Zane disguise, so they went over there trying to ask Creel for that piece they need. But obviously since they didn't have money, they threw him out. And Prohickey eventually found out it was a Zane day, so Zane just dresses up as himself and just names himself Blaine. Just tries to get trying to answer this stuff, but he wasn't able to. For some of them, because it was Labo shooting at messing up and just getting Zane messing up, or I don't know. So, and then they had Chancellor Gulch, who for some reason doesn't recognize Zane, despite saying he knows him best. He gives Blaine, aka Zane, a gift card to Creels so they get the parts they need. While Kai and Wildfire, we get to them, who they are just stuck. They were stuck in a trap led by the Greenbone Warriors. They escaped the trap, and they figured they wanted their gems back that Wildfire stole. So Kai was surprised that Wildfire took them. And so they originally wanted to make peace, but since Wildfire did the fire handshake, they had to run away, and they freed Heatwave, who was also captured. And they go to the wilderness where the lava tides were not happy with Wildfire, so they refused to give the core until they cleaned up their village, which they eventually did. But the lava tides ended up not giving them the core, and Kai and Wildfire had to go down the infinite, the never return downhole, and they eventually get out, and Dorama comes out and just steals the core. So, and then we cut to Nia and Sora just finding out the location they were given was not where the core was. So, that's the end of the episode for 13. Alright, next episode. What do we got for 14? 14. Ooh, the last year. Now, this was a good episode. Love this. This was a very good episode right here. So this was about how the Jins Nia was telling Sora about how the Jin's history, and they were using secret stones that Nia got from the Cloud Kingdom archives. But since she used it wrong, Nia and Sora got cursed, and then the Howlers were coming after them and are going to kill them until because they were the only way for them to be defeated was with Jin magic, and then so Aircore eventually defeats them and regains a lot better, and then And then for the other half of the episode was basically Zane and Lily Frohickey. Frohickey was just messing up a lot of the times, and Zane just has to fix his mess. And then near the end of the episode, where Frohickey originally wanted to leave, Zane told him how he was not the best, not the worst assistant keeper of the monastery, and he'd give it some time and he'll do better. And then that's kind of it for Frohickey. He doesn't really show up until episode 20, does he? So, and then that's really it. And then Eric says they are gonna help them find the missing core. And they do fix Sora's negative attitude, optimistic attitude. Now, this one, we have 3 different stories to talk about. This episode's one of the few episodes they give us several different stories for, with all the stories coming together, except Zane's story. Zane is the only story they don't really do in this episode, but other than that, all the other stories just come up in this episode. So, let's break it down. Let's start with Lloyd and Aaron. Lloyd and Aaron eventually find the Medallic Gardens and, find the Snails people, and they decide, and they found the court open, and Lloyd decides to ask them if they can have it, so the Snail people just give it to them, and they have to go save Rapton, who was about to meet his demise, and so they walk the impossible path with Lloyd, walking, and turns out it was a very nice. It was very, very safe, and the only thing dangerous was for snails, the salt. So they free Rapton, and Rapton, so Rapton tries to attack them and gets the core, tries to escape, but the agents of the administration just electrocute Rapton and take the core, and then Lloyd and Aaron just go after him. And then Kaya and Wildfire this episode, they were trying to get the core back, which they managed to get due from the Lava Tides and Dorama. But Heatwave got injured, so they're taking care of Heatwave. Nia and Sora, make a wish, to try to find the missing Dragon Energy Core. So they go off to the Land of Lost Things, where they meet a giant earth mech after they were following the Spritz and Spitz. So they obviously, they didn't know it was Cole, and Cole didn't know it was Nia and Sora, so they were attacking each other until Nia did some jutsu, so Cole figured out that it's probably Nia, and Nia figured out it was Cole. And that's where the episode ended. Let's go 16. Alright, here we go. Land of Lost Things. This episode was mainly about Cole. I mean, we did have Kai and Wildfire also in the back, how their thing. How Kai and Wildfire were trying to get the pieces to heal Heatwave, and this is the episode where Wildfire starts to learn, to be better, and Kai and Wildfire's relationship gets much better in this episode. And then this episode, the Cole's gang tries to beat the Hoarder, and they try to, and then they try to build a safer option for the Dragon Energy Core, so they can take that and replace it with something else to beat the Hoarder. But Dr. LaRoe comes in and just takes the Dragon Energy Core and just. But Sora did manage to figure out it was an abandoned project by Dr. LaRoe called Sweeper. A little cute little thing which they captured, so the Hoarder is now gone. And that's really the end of episode 16. 17. The administration. This episode was about. All right, let me just pull screen out. Oops. All right, this episode was mainly about Lloyd and Aaron just going through the administration, which is part of the realm of madness, and they basically trying to avoid the security guards since they made fake passes. And Zane, and they see Zane, detained, so they save Zane, and they're off to trying to find the Dragon Energy Core. But and so they eventually find it, and they escape the administration back to the Gardens and back to the monastery of Senjutsu. While Kyle Wildfire heal, while they're waiting for their thing to work, they're moving very slow and being patient, which Kai learned from Master Wu, when Nia was lost to the sea. So, while so they eventually get back, they eventually get back to the monastery, but they figure out that the Dragon Energy Core is fake that they got from. So Dorama must have taken it from them. So they rejoin and meet Lloyd and Aaron. So they leave their Dragon Energy core, and then they're off to Imperium to get the other two and stop it. Empress Beatrix. But they see a lightning blast, come from the lab, so they're thinking it's not going to be that easy. And that's where episode 17 cuts. This is the only episode that Sora doesn't appear in this season. Sora appears in every other episode except that one. Ooh, this one is about a flashback episode. It's absolutely power. We learn how Empress Beatrix's dad has a twin sister and Zetrix, who has an elemental power that we don't know about how. And we learn that Lord Ras is from the wildness, and he asks for he asks for Empress Levo, or I think that's Empress Beatrix's dad name, that with my assistance we could hunt down the dragons, and they don't want to hunt down dragons, so they end up refusing, and then Lord Ras leaves while Empress Beatrix goes after Lord Ras secretly, and they make a plan to kill their father and frame Zetrix, and so Empress Beatrix can take the throne and capture Source Dragons. And then Empress Beatrix was trying to make the merge quick weapon, and they couldn't because Rapton gave them a fake Dragon Energy Core, which was made by the Resistance Team Protection Force. So they were on there. So Empress Beatrix visited Lord Ras, thinking he would redeem himself, but Empress Beatrix saw that Lord Ras was the same still, so Empress Beatrix decided not to let Lord Ras out, and the ninjas make it into Imperium, and they got surrounded by the Imperium guards, but the resistance team came in and surprise attacked them, and the ninjas are now working with the Imperium Resistance Team Protection Force, which Aaron's surprised about. And Dr. Lowrow didn't want to drain the Source Dragon because it would destroy all Imperium. But Jordana decided to do it, and that's where the episode ends. 2 more episodes to go. And we're gonna have a little. See? Alright, let's give it 19. We are all dragons. And this is a really good title because you'll see. This episode we have. I forgot to mention episode 18. Sora and Nia made a plan, and they upgraded Jiro's Jiro's blasters, which is the blue lightning thinking dragon, so they can break the shields around Imperium. And Cold obviously stayed back and is going for Master Root. Now that we're in episode 19, so Nia and Sora arrive while the ninjas were battling Empress Beatrix. So the dragons, except Ryu, are gonna battle Empress Beatrix while everyone else escapes. But Beatrix took down captured the dragons, and took down the blaster. And they made a plan where Kyle Wildfire is going to distract the guards by destroying the the warriors the armor factory area, while Aaron Sora and Sora's going to break into the broadcast tower, thanks with the help of Rapton, to broadcast the message about how Beatrix was lying and was very bad, and Lloyd, Nia, and Zane are going to distract um, Empress Beatrix in the meantime. So Sora managed to break into the broadcast towers, and managed to broadcast the message before they beat Dorama. They also beat Dorama too. So, and then Sora's speech about "We are all dragons" was very good speech. How she was a mindless beast, and rallies the citizens to stand up to Empress Beatrix, and Empress Beatrix is now got her Mergequake weapon thanks to Jordana, who managed to make a core, the Dragon Energy Core, thanks to her draining a Source Dragon. But obviously, Jordana also sent the guards to take Dr. Leroux away. So, and they have signs with Empress Beatrix, all powerful. Alright, and now we get to the finale of Season 1. The Power Within. So we start off this episode with Empress Beatrix blasting Imperium citizens out into Mergequakes with her blaster, and eventually she gets Wildfire and Kai and Percival and Rapton and Ryu, like Empress Beatrix isn't playing around. So obviously, Lloyd and Aaron were battling Empress Beatrix while Zane's staying back, and Nia is also staying back too. Sora eventually remeets with her parents, and their parents still believe Empress Beatrix, so Sora disowns them and goes on and saying how the ninjas are her true family, and so Sora saves Lloyd and Aaron from getting blasted into existence. So Sora breaks the blaster, and Aaron just spitches Empress Beatrix into the Mergequake, while the Mergequakes go unstable, so they race back to not Ninjago City, the Crossroads area, so they get the last Dragon Energy Core that was in the monastery, and Lloyd puts it all together and gets him and manages to stop the Mergequakes, with everyone except Empress Beatrix coming back. And then we see Lloyd go with the Dragon Energy Cores with Ryu to free the Source Dragon, and it was revealed that the Source Dragons made elemental powers, which there should be more Source Dragons then, because there's a lot more elements that made elemental powers, except for like Sora and Wildfire and Geo and some others. So, so the energy source dragon, the Imperium source dragon's gone now, and they've Lloyd and Riley return to the monastery, and they see Sora. Sora's trying to do it on her own, and Aaron is trying to figure out why Spinjitzu only works, when he's scared, and Lloyd tells him to control you gotta don't fight how you feel, etc. And then we cut to Imperium, where Percival is now doing a meeting with Rakton and the Imperium citizens and claw hunters, and trying to figure out how to make the city better for them. Make the city better now with Beatrice gone, with Jordana trying to leave, disgraced. But Lord Rast comes in and tells Jordana that she can be useful for his master, and they cut with showing Jordana bringing the last samples, and that is where season 1 wraps up until next year's season 2. So what we have for season 2 hints are Rast's master, the teeth in the crab, and those worms in Cloud Kingdom. So will those all, and then the Zane's cocoon, and then Jay. So we know we're gonna get the bone. I mean the not the bone. The Wolf Mask army that's gonna come out next season, and with Cinder, a new character, which is gonna be the Master of Smoke. So we don't know what happened to Ash, but we'll find out. Jordana and is gonna be joining Lord Ras. Lord Ras is gonna be the main antagonist, and that's it until season 2. Season 2, which you all know that I'll make a good big review for season 2 next year. But that's after the season drops. Who knows when the full season drops, but we'll see. But I want to thank everybody for coming along and watching Ninjago Dragons Rising season 1, my season 1 review. Well, till next time, bye everyone. Bye.